Yo, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video. Got a lot to talk about in this video. A Battlefield 5 open beta is beginning very soon. That's going to be free for everyone. There has been a Battlefield 5 closed alpha running for a little bit. Of course, not a lot of people got into that. I personally wasn't in it, so I'm excited to check out the open beta, which is going to be available for everyone. Also, on the EA topic, 8 new games have hit Origin Access, so if you're subscribed to that service, it does continue to get better and better. So how about that? Some positive news coming from our favorite publishers over at EA. Also, I want to talk about a pretty good deal you could take advantage of over on Newegg right now, considering that hardware prices are still a little bit high, especially on the GPU realm. Whenever you can save a little bit of money, it's great to do so. This deal isn't anything spectacular, but it will let you get some free cash to spend on Newegg. Speaking of hardware, there's a great deal on a GTX 1080 Ti right now on Amazon. Now, it's a bundle deal, so you get a power supply with it. So this is ideal for those of you looking to build brand new rigs and you want a GPU and a power supply in one hit. This is a great way to do so. And then I also want to give a shout to the Nintendo Switch emulator. The team that's doing that has just opened a Patreon page, and if you guys remember, after RPCS3 opened a Patreon page, that's when development of that really ramped up. So maybe things will be the same with this Switch emulator. Now, a Switch emulator, there's some gray area to that. I don't know how emulation of Switch games really falls on my moral compass, but I wanted to give that a mention as well. So first, let's talk about the Battlefield 5 open beta. Like I said, a closed alpha has been running, but in early September, as stated by a post over on the Battlefield website, it says this: there will be a new build of Battlefield 5 at Gamescom, and then there is an open beta in early September to look forward to. Thanks again for helping us make Battlefield 5 the best it can be. Now, it sounds like this is open to everyone. It's not like you have to pre-order Battlefield 5 to get access into this open beta. It's just going to be available for everyone. Now, I question the idea of doing a beta a month prior to a game is being released, but I think the word beta and what a beta is has just been so muddy that, yeah, I guess at this point, this is what a beta is. A month before, you just give players a chance to test out a game. That's a beta for you, but Battlefield 5 is a game that I am somewhat interested in. Battlefield as a franchise, I feel like has lost a little bit of its luster comparatively speaking to like Battlefield 3. Maybe I'm alone in that camp, but I remember the hype for Battlefield 3, and it was way higher to me personally than a game like Battlefield 5. Battlefield is a franchise that has always been synonymous with PC gaming, however, so of course I'll be checking it out. I'm just not as excited for it as I was prior Battlefield games, and what I've seen has looked pretty good. And by the way, right now, EA is also giving away some free Battlefield 1 DLC, so if you want to take advantage of that, go over on Origin and you can download that. And EA is trying to do a lot to win back gamers after the debacle that was Star Wars Battlefront 2. Moving on from that, and speaking of EA, I've always talked about how I think Origin Access is an incredible service. It's $5 a month or $30 a year, which if you're paying the yearly subscription, you're literally paying $2.50 a month. I believe that's how the math works out. You can play 10 hours of a game 10 days prior to launch. The biggest selling point of Origin Access is, of course, the Vault lineup of games, and there are a lot of games. It just used to be a classic lineup of EA titles, so all of the Mass Effect games are in there, Battlefield is in there, Battlefield 1 is in there, Titanfall 2 is in there, a lot of good stuff is in there, but now they're also opening up their doors to a lot of third-party publishers. So as I mentioned, they have added 8 new games. So what are these games? Well, there are a lot of good ones, including Cities Skylines, which is fantastic and kind of funny because EA, of course, put out SimCity, but now you've got the real good city building game, and Cities Skylines is a part of EA's service. War Mastered Edition is in there, Rime is now in there, Orwell Ignorance's Strength is in there, and also we've got Jotun, Mad Games Tycoon, Ghost 1, and Crashlands. Again, it's only $5 a month or $30 a year, and there are just so many good games. Other games in there, Pillars of Eternity is in there, and you guys know how I feel about that game. All of those great EA titles from the past, Dragon Age Origins is in there, the Mass Effect titles, and as much as everyone has been displeased with EA as a publisher, Origin Access is something that they've gotten really right, and we do know that they are launching an upgrade to this subscription service in Origin Access Premier, and that'll be $15 a month, and that'll get you access to all of the new EA games as well. So Battlefield 5, Anthem, Madden 19, which is coming to PC. A lot of good stuff with Origin Access, and this is one of the better things they've done in a very long time. Moving on from that, those of you that are looking to get the best deals possible, well, I got a pretty good deal you could take advantage of. Over on Newegg right now, if you buy a $150 gift card to a friend, you get a free $20 gift card on top of that. Now, yes, they're promoting this as buying a gift card for a friend, but yes, it does not take rocket science to figure out that friend can just be yourself. And you can buy a $150 gift card and get a free $20 gift card on top of that. So essentially, if you're buying any GPU on Newegg, that's gonna slash $20 off the cost, since most GPUs are $150 or over, and then you just get that $20 extra. So I'll leave a link where you can take advantage of that in the description box down below. They do limit it to one per customer, so you can't abuse it, because this is a very good deal to utilize. Speaking of great deals, Amazon has a great deal on an EVGA GeForce GTX 1080 Ti. It's actually a bundle with a power supply, so you get the EVGA 1080 Ti and you get the EVGA Supernova 750 G2 80 Plus Gold 750 watt power supply. Both of those for $770, and that's pretty good considering that's a very high quality power supply, and this GPU specifically is already valued very highly. So if you're building a new PC, this is a great deal to take advantage of. If you already have an existing PC with a pretty good power supply, yes, this deal isn't that great unless you want to sell that power supply, but otherwise, for those of you that are building a rig from scratch, this is a great deal. You get the power supply, you get the GPU, and it all comes at a pretty decent price of $770. Now, yes, $770 is still quite expensive, but bear in mind that the 1080 Ti is a very good GPU, and just that standalone typically goes for a very high price, so this isn't a bad deal at all. And finally, I do want to give a shout to the Ryujinx team. They have opened a Patreon page. Now, Ryujinx is the Nintendo Switch emulator, and I just wanted to mention this to get the word out about a Switch emulator, but I'm very curious to hear what you guys think from a morality standpoint. Now, I personally own a Nintendo Switch, and I've bought games on my Nintendo Switch, so I've supported Nintendo and the Nintendo Switch as a platform, but a Switch emulator, if it comes to fruition, the issue with this is the Switch is just a brand new console, and if emulation for the Switch progresses and people are playing games that were developed exclusively for the Switch without even buying a Switch, that is a moral gray area. Now, somebody could point to the fact that also, these people that are emulating Nintendo Switch games probably didn't have any interest in buying a Switch at all, and actually, playing games using a Nintendo Switch emulator might open the door for them to buy a Nintendo Switch, because if you want that definitive experience, if you want that real Switch experience, if you want to play multiplayer, just having the Nintendo Switch as a console is the best, especially at this point. But yeah, obviously, nothing is going to stop people from emulating, and actually developing emulation isn't the issue, it's the downloading of illegal files. Now, why I wanted to mention the Patreon specifically is the Patreon for the RPCS3 emulator, which I've also been covering in depth on this channel, that has been making incredible progress since the Patreon launch. I mean, if you go back to when the Patreon was launched for that emulator to now, the progress that they've made is absolutely incredible. And with the PS3 emulator, that is an emulator that I never thought would have gotten as far as it did, because everybody knows about the PS3's horrific cell architecture, but they've managed to make progress. And if that amount of progress was able to be made on RPCS3, I have no doubt that a Switch emulator could make rapid progress as well. I feel like with this emulator, we really need to see more, because with RPCS3, when they launched that Patreon, they had some of the fundamentals set and some of the groundwork already laid. We already saw games running on RPCS3, and we could see the potential was there, but now that potential has finally been realized, and it's continued to be realized because of Patreon. At least you would think that Patreon is really helping them out. And now with that emulator, you're seeing games like Persona 5 getting near playable states, games like Ni no Kuni and other PlayStation 3 exclusives. So when RPCS3 is at a quality state, that really opens the floodgate for PC gamers to experience all of these incredible games. And I thought the PS3 had such an underrated library of games, and if a Switch emulator could make that quick of progress, that would be amazing too. And the Switch is building such an incredible lineup of games as well. It's just the issue with the Switch versus the PS3. The PS3 is an over decade-old console, so for a lot of people, emulating Switch games really does break that moral barrier. But as I said, I really want to hear what you guys think about that, and that's going to conclude this video. As I mentioned, Battlefield 5 Open Beta is starting in the beginning of September. 8 new games have hit Origin Access, and there's some great games, including Cities Skylines, Darksiders War Mastered Edition, and many more. Again, that service is $30 a year, $2.50 a month, and you get so much good stuff. Newegg has a great promotion right now. Get a $150 gift card, and you can get a free $20 gift card. If you're in the market for a GeForce GTX 1080 Ti, you can get one for $770 $770, and along with that, get a power supply. So that's a pretty good bundle and a pretty good deal. And finally, Ryujinx, the Nintendo Switch emulator team, has opened a Patreon page. I will be interested to see the progress that emulator makes, especially if they do get a following on Patreon. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you guys have a request for a future video, you can leave that in the comments as well, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.